Hello, Northrop. Hello, Phoenix. Welcome to the preview of our 2022-2023 school year, which I'm calling Small Hinges, Swing Big Doors. Small Hinges, Swing Big Doors. So I always want to start with what this is and what this isn't. So what this is a preview of our 2022-2023 school year. It's an insight of how we'll push our mission and vision forward with love and purpose. And it's just one way to build anticipation for next year and share it with you all without having to sit through this in something like the gym altogether. So you're welcome. It's not a detailed analysis of the 2022-2023 school year. It's not a way to convince you that everything is fine and that's just going to be perfect, because true change takes time. And it's only one way to build anticipation for next year. You can always ask me to dive into anything you're about to see. I love to meet one-on-one, in a small group, anything you want to make sure you feel great about next year. Here's how I lead, and here's how I see leadership. Leadership for me is built on relationships, trust, and that deep sense of belonging. If you haven't noticed already, leadership for me is more why not? Because it feels so much better than that constant, why are we doing this? Why? I like to change it into a why not? For me, there's almost always a yes. And it's not always immediate, but there's almost always a yes if we get creative. I believe that everyone is a leader, our staff, our students, our families, our community. And I believe that leadership is interdependent and circular. So it's not codependent. It's not dependent on when Freeze says yes, or when Aaron says yes, or when I say yes. There's no hierarchy. It's circular and interdependent. We all got to do our job, and it all works together. It's circular, similar to a web, if you will. Here's another way of looking at it. Like I just said, it's not dependent on a principal or a dean or a leader. We're all leaders in our own beautiful, unique ways, whether that's our community, our leadership team, our staff, our scholars, and our families. We all are working together, or sometimes our community impacts our scholars, and our scholars impact our leadership team, and our leadership team impacts our families, which impacts our staff, and it all works together in an interdependent way. So here's what I need to improve on and get clear on. I say we because we're all part of this, we're all leaders, but I want to get clear on our leadership flow. So managers, coaches, support, all of those things. So really getting clear on, at Northrop, here's what it means to be a principal. At Northrop, here's what it means to be a dean of instruction. At Northrop, here's what it means to be a dean of students. At Northrop, and get really clear so that we're not creating stories in our heads. I want to improve how we flow. So knowing how we or you get what you need to keep our mission and vision moving forward. But I also want to be clear on how we don't flow, and knowing what we can't have happen if we want to keep our mission and vision moving forward. Things that I've clarified around my Google Calendar or using PTO, that's showing how we don't flow just as much as how we do flow. So similar to what we do with students, here's what we do in this classroom, and here's how we don't do things in the classroom. And that's okay. It's extra clear and it's extra kind. So small hinges swing big doors. We heard some stuff from our network around strong data cycles, early literacy, multilingual language support, and multi-tiered support systems. But what does that look like at Northrop? When you think of strong data cycles, we'll be thinking about creating habits around what we look for, what we measure, and how we celebrate, with real doable goals for each and every. I want all kids to have goals next year. I want you all to have goals next year, and I want us to create that habit of data. For early literacy, we're going to be implementing Groves and all of our curricula with fidelity and those layered supports. So think of that literacy team, the ELD team, the grade level leads, having supports to get that done. Multilingual language support. So we want to make sure that all spaces are language spaces, and that we create the conditions for comprehensible input. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's amazing. I can explain it too. And honoring and seeing that all students, I believe, are linguistic geniuses. And then multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS, making sure that we have all the resources, those human resources, physical, emotional, financial, curriculum, to have responsive, equitable supports for each and every. But let's get into that some more. How are we going to do that at Northrop? We're going to continue to work on trust, especially around reliability. So making sure that all of us do what we say we're going to do. Being here present for students all of the time. Being aware of our competencies and our limitations so that we don't overpromise and that we deliver on our commitments. Also, that piece of integrity, so choosing courage over comfort, choosing what's right over what's just fun or fast or easy, and practicing and living out our values, not just saying what they are. We're also going to be working on cultivating meaningful connections. That comes from Brene Brown's new book, Atlas of the Heart. So grounded confidence, the courage to walk alongside, and story stewardship. And she also talks about our near enemies. So we're going to be learning about that. So not just learning what we want to do and what the far enemy or the opposite is, but learning about the things she calls those near enemies that get in the way. So for example, staying curious. I think we'd all agree that staying curious is a great thing for a community. But the far enemy is showing indifference or defensiveness or disinterest. So we don't really see a lot of that in our school, but that staying curious, the near enemy is challenging or criticizing more than we explore or contribute. So I love being challenged. I love being criticized in a way that pushes the work forward, but not if it's more than exploring and contributing. So it's making sure we know our near enemies so that we can keep pushing the work forward. Also, I'm calling it core, more, and out the door. So I want to be really clear that sometimes I get anxious when I see these presentations because I'm like, oh my goodness, we're doing all these new things. We're not. We're not going to keep reinventing the wheel. We are 3 schools that became one, 3 schools that did a lot of great things, and now we're going to have one great school that makes sure our systems and structures are just right. And again, making sure it's sustainable and doable on our worst days. I always say if you can't do it on April 15th, don't start. So April 15th is the day I make up in my head when grades are due and that crap is hitting the fan and you just know that it's overwhelming, but you can still keep it going because that core is strong, the system is strong, and it can keep moving forward. More is making sure we have all the people and the stuff that we need. So those are making sure that we have enough staff for ELD, SPED, our spaces, we have teachers, we have full-time subs. We all know that we're gonna have an equity director, restorative practices director, a family engagement director, and racially conscious work. So that more is really the stuff that we wanna make sure we have in place to support this core that we already have going on really strongly. And out the door, really for me, out the door is thinking that we're going to get it perfect within the first quarter or the first year. All of this stuff that I'm presenting is a multi-year approach to make sure we're completing our mission and vision. So early literacy is not going to be perfect next year, and we're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger so that over multiple years, we continue to see that beautiful growth. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not saying that this will happen instantly or exactly as we all want in perfect synergy. It's not going to be perfect next year, but it's going to be so much better and stronger. I can feel it already. Because it's really bigger than stuff and systems. We already have so much great stuff and so many incredible systems. Yep, they're good and they can be greater. We know those things. But when you think about it, this is my attempt at designing an iceberg. So here's the visible stuff we see. And usually when we think of change, we think of those systems we want to improve. But really, next year, it's around those beliefs and mindsets. What do we believe about kids? What do we believe about each other? What do we believe about our family and our communities? What do we believe about our network? What do we believe about our K-12 system? And making sure that those beliefs are rooted in deep levels of trust, inclusivity, belonging, diversity, all of those beautiful pieces to keep moving the work and our mission and vision forward. But another way of thinking about this is, I was talking about doors. You can't have doors without a solid foundation. So instead of thinking about an iceberg, think about that foundation. This is the visible stuff. And again, the systems and the mindsets are that foundation. So it's beautiful to think of, oh, small hinges swing big doors. That's beautiful, but not if the foundation that the door is standing on is crumbling. So we want to make sure that these pieces are extra strong so that the visible stuff can continue to happen. We have some big doors to swing open. Educational inequities, that's a big door that we need to swing open and have it built on a strong foundation. So they will swing open. But my question is, will the hinges of our systems, our leaders, that's all of you, and our beliefs be perfect in the school year 2022, 2023? Nope, I'm going to say it right now, not even close. We're not going to be perfect, but I guarantee once we put those hinges in place, the doors are going to start swinging open. And think about it. You plus me plus us plus our community. Think of our students and our families. Those are the bravest hinges. So yeah, we can think of early literacy, multilingual language support, all those beautiful things. But really the strongest hinges are you, me, us, and our community. Those are the bravest hinges we have. So finally, I just want to say thank you. Come back to the imagery we all started in January with me of conocer, getting to know each other deeply. We're going to continue that work as we put those small hinges in place to swing open some big doors as we are now one school at Northrop. As always, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, to our leadership team. I would love to clarify, color this in, share some connective tissue, how this all works together. Because if you can't tell already, I'm super pumped for next year, super tired from this year, but super excited for what's to come over summer and into the next school year. Can't do it without you, so thank you, thank you, thank you, and let's finish this school year strong. Bye Northrop, bye Phoenix.